For the past few days, we have aggressively vilified debt. We labeled it a psychological trap, a time machine that steals your future, and a financial prison. For the average consumer purchasing depreciating liabilities, all of those definitions are entirely accurate. But today, we must introduce a profound paradigm shift. When you transition from the working class to the investor class, the definition of debt completely morphs. In the portfolios of the ultra-wealthy, debt is not a prison. Debt is a highly sophisticated, calculated tool. It is the ultimate accelerant of wealth. Today, we decode the architecture of strategic leverage. In physics, leverage is the mechanical advantage gained by using a lever. The ancient Greek mathematician Archimedes famously said, "Give me a lever long enough, and I shall move the world." A lever allows you to move a massive, heavy object using a fraction of your own physical force. Financial leverage operates on the exact same principle. It is the deployment of borrowed capital to multiply the potential return of an investment. Instead of using 100% of your own money to acquire an asset, you use a small fraction of your capital and borrow the rest from a financial institution. To wield this tool safely, you must understand the uncompromising boundary between bad debt and good debt. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket. It is consumer credit used to purchase depreciating liabilities, cars, clothes, and vacations that generate absolutely zero revenue. Good debt puts money into your pocket. It is capital borrowed at a low, fixed interest rate, specifically to acquire cash-flowing, appreciating assets, like commercial real estate or a profitable business. The asset itself generates enough revenue to pay off the debt, while simultaneously making you wealthier. This introduces the ultimate mantra of elite investors, OPM, other people's money. Why would a wealthy investor who has millions of dollars in cash choose to take out a mortgage on a new property? Because using OPM radically magnifies their return on investment, or ROI. Let's look at the mathematics of asymmetry. Suppose you want to buy a $500,000 rental property. If you pay completely in cash and the property appreciates by 5%, you have made $25,000. That is a modest 5% return on your $500,000. Now, let's use strategic leverage. You purchase the exact same property, but you only put down $100,000 of your own money, a 20% down payment. The bank provides the remaining $400,000. The property still appreciates by 5%, generating that same $25,000 increase in value. But you only invested $100,000 out of your pocket. Therefore, your actual return on investment is not 5%. It is 25%. By leveraging the bank's capital, you mathematically multiplied your wealth-building velocity by 5. This is the magnification power of good debt. But the leverage strategy gets even better. When you acquire a cash-flowing asset, like a rental property, you are not the one paying back the loan. Your tenants are. This is the magic of amortization. Every month, the rent collected covers the interest and pays down the principal balance of the debt. Simultaneously, the asset is quietly appreciating in value. Over 30 years, your tenants have systematically bought a multi-million-dollar asset on your behalf, while you only ever contributed the initial down payment. You used the bank's money to buy it and the market's money to pay it off. Furthermore, strategic leverage acts as a brilliant hedge against inflation. Inflation is the enemy of the saver, but it is the absolute best friend of the strategic debtor. Why? Because you borrow money today in strong, valuable dollars, but you pay the loan back over decades using weaker, inflated dollars. As the cost of living rises, your property value increases, and the rent you charge increases. but your fixed-rate mortgage payment stays exactly the same. Inflation actively destroys the real weight of your debt while inflating the value of your asset. However, we must issue a severe warning. Leverage is a double-edged sword. Just as it exponentially magnifies your gains, it will violently magnify your losses. If the market crashes and your property value drops by 20%, your entire cash equity is instantly wiped out. If the asset stops producing cash flow, if you cannot find tenants or your business revenue dries up, the bank does not care. You are still legally obligated to service the debt. If you fail, the bank seizes the collateral, and you face absolute financial ruin. Leverage without cash flow is a suicide mission. Therefore, strategic leverage is reserved exclusively for the disciplined. You cannot safely utilize good debt if you have not completely eradicated your bad debt. You must possess a fully funded emergency cash reserve to weather economic winters, vacancies, and unexpected maintenance. The wealthy use leverage to accelerate their wealth from a position of absolute stability, not out of greed or desperation. They run the mathematical stress tests. They ensure the asset generates significantly more cash than the cost of the debt. The spread between the cost of borrowing and the yield of the asset is where true wealth is forged. Mastering strategic leverage is the final transition in your financial education. It is the realization that the bank's capital is a resource, and when wielded with surgical precision, it allows you to build a multi-generational empire using a fraction of your own physical labor. But whether it is a strategic mortgage or toxic credit card debt, owing money to another entity carries a heavy psychological burden. Tomorrow, we are stepping away from the math and diving deep into the soul. We will explore the emotional weight of debt, the guilt, the shame, and the anxiety of owing money, and how to reclaim your psychological freedom. Subscribe to Decode Advanced English on Wealth, and I'll see you tomorrow.